And good afternoon, good evening, good night, or good morning, wherever you are out there in the world. It is I, Bekaltar, and we're going to react, or watch and react to, respond to, just review, I guess, the development update for October 30th from Ashes of Creation. Just came up this morning. I was busy working, so I haven't even had a chance to look at this yet. So this is going to be 100% brand new information to me, and I even come bearing some pre Halloween candies or munchies. One of my commenters on YouTube says, I shouldn't eat while I'm doing a stream or whatever, and just to spite that, I will do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, some leftover from the Halloween bags we put together tonight for the kids tomorrow, and you got to do quality control, right? Got to do quality control. Make sure that these are high grade, sugary narcotics for children, because that's basically what chocolate bars and gummies and candies are. It's basically drugs for kids, right? Gets us all hopped up and addicted and gives us diabetes. Uh, but sugar is actually one of the most addictive substances on the planet. So go figure. So yeah, I'm just burning a little bit of time, letting people come and join the channel, join the stream. Feel free to comment and stuff like that in the chat as well. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit that bell if you enjoy the content that I am making here for you guys today. And I'm trying to go full green here so that I'm relatively invisible as far as the video goes. It is an hour and a half long, so I expect this to be a 2-hour stream at minimum. Excuse me. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Hello everyone, salutations and welcome to our glorious Ashes of Creation's October development update. No, I'm just having fun with you guys. Welcome to our October development update. We hope that you've had a wonderful month and that you've been super excited. We definitely are. Obviously, we have a lot of things to go over, so bear with us. We'll try to get it all jam-packed in an hour, but we do have quite a bit. So quickly, I will just kind of go around and introduce our lovely people we have here. I'm obviously Margaret Crone. I'm the community and marketing lead for Intrepid Studios. And with me
who doesn't answer
Sharif,
questions,
who's our creative director, as well as Jeff Bard, who is our lead game designer.
I've sent her a couple of questions.
You've probably seen their lovely faces. You guys look amazing, Jeff.
Paw Patrol is on a roll.
Yeah, Jeff, what are you?
I'm Marshall.
Oh, I am the same thing I was last year. Time traveler from the future, warning of a global pandemic.
AKA lazy.
I shake my head at you, Steven.
Steven can do better.
You should have come a little bit earlier.
I was last year in October. That was like multiple months prior to the pandemic.
But nobody listened.
Oh,
yeah, and they're still not listening.
Jeff, you're a little quiet. If you, I don't know how you got quieter for some reason, but if you can check that.
Here's Steven.
Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff.
Really?
You were loud before, but I don't know what happened.
Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Change it on
Steven could do a better job with
But
costumes.
chat, let me know if anything's weird. I just noticed that.
Just putting that out
so
there,
quickly,
Steven.
I just want to go over
put a
what
little
we're
more effort
doing,
into
but
it.
I had to stop and talk about our costumes because.
Wait, so Margaret, you're a witch?
You know, McP can't be here on the stream, and I feel like the witches need to be represented. But
Yes.
I do have another costume. We're gonna do a screenshot of like all of our costumes because we have a Intrepid Life like. All of us are getting together later. We're doing Jackbox games, and we're going to be doing a little costume contest.
Nice.
And the community team
Margaret
has a
definitely
group
seems to
costume,
put the
but it'd be
most
really
effort
weird
into
for me
her
to be
costumes.
in that costume without them.
So are
What?
you a particular type of witch? Or
No, I think she's
from a
using
specific
color-
type of series or movie
color
that you
coding.
feel best represents
I don't think she painted
witchdom?
herself
Oh
green.
no, I'm not.
I think
Are you a
she's
good
using the
witch?
chroma key.
Yeah,
bad
a good witch or a bad witch?
Well, I mean, I'll leave that up to everyone else to decide.
But she always has the best costumes.
Give me the best. Give me some
No, Jeff
backstories.
is pretty good.
Post on the forum. Someone start a thread. Give me some backstories, and I'll pick the best one, and I'll read it out. Maybe next
Yeah, I
live stream.
think
or
Jeff's
something.
definitely got the better
That'd be
costume.
fun,
Sounds
right?
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's make sure this is
Steven
turned up.
approved.
Yep.
So I just want to go over what we're going to be talking about today. We have quick updates. I'm going to go through all of those. We have a studio update from Steven, and he'll also be talking about a creative director's letter. If you haven't checked that out, we also emailed y'all it, so y'all should have it. Yeah, if you're new, definitely go check it out on our forums and also our.
I have a
website.
video on that. I just haven't put it
We
out
have
yet.
a design update with a video of some PvP combat. Reminder that everything's early. Environment art update, as well as some character art update to action. And we are going to announce our Glorious Gourd winners.
Glorious.
We lost to Steven. What happened?
Oh no.
Your camera
Where
dropped.
did you
Steven.
go, Steven?
Hopefully he joins us. And then we, of course, have our Q&A. Our lovely Toast, aka our community manager, has put together all of the goodies. Yeah, he is echoey, but I think it's because Steven...
He's having some problems.
Something terrible has happened.
There we go.
He's had some
I think he
technical
was echoey
problems.
because he didn't mute himself on the Zoom call.
He got recalled to the future.
Is that better?
I think that's what happened.
Oh, he-
Steven got recalled back to the future. Apparently, they need his
know
assistance
what's going
for
on.
releasing the game.
Okay.
Rip Steven. Just put the F's in chat, you guys. We know. What happened?
I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think the mic I was using was super echoey. I don't know
Oh.
if this is still echoey, but I'm
No,
back.
you're not echoey now, but you were echoey for some reason for a moment
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I think it was the mic I was using. But hopefully this is better. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Doing it live.
It's okay. You know, this is the thing with doing stuff from work from home. We're gonna have everyone has different issues. So we're just dealing with it. But that's it for the run of show. In regards
Tomorrow I'll
to
be
our
streaming
quick
with,
updates, we have
in
a new
costume.
dev discussion coming up. We have overgearing, which is kind of like, aka twinking for those of us who are more well versed in the realm of MMOs. So yeah, get excited to talk
It's
to
not
us a
what
little bit
twinking
about
really
that. We'd love
means.
to hear your thoughts. So stay tuned for that next one. We also have our
Stay a
next
while and
cosmetic set will be
listen.
Oh, there's
swapping
Pug.
over. So that means the woe within the woodlands
Hello,
is going
Pug.
to be removed on November 7th, 2020 at 11 a.m. Pacific. Reminder, daylight savings time changes are happening November 1st,
Yeah,
so
there's
get
some
ready
good
for
art
that
there.
action.
But I just
And then I believe beyond that,
the
we have our
cost.
24-hour live stream. So you're going to get a little bonus extra live stream that will be on November 7th, 6 a.m. PST, and that will be ending at November 8th at 6 a.m. PST.
And I'll
We
be
have a lot of cool things planned for you
streaming.
all.
So I'll be
If you
streaming
haven't
their
already
stream.
checked out the milestones, we brought back some of the milestones that y'all really liked. So hopefully
So I'll
you
be
enjoy
streaming their
those.
stream
we also
and playing
have,
some games myself.
Quite a few other surprise things.
I'll probably have them
Steven
up in the,
has said that
the
if
corner.
we hit the 30,000 mark during the 24-hour live stream, he will shave his beard live on the stream.
And then
So
I'll
it'll
be collecting
I'm very conflicted because
money from my
I want
viewers and then donating it
us
to them
hit that as a
to help
community
them hit their
for the
milestones.
children, but at the same time, I do not
well
want to
as,
shave the beard. So
Hopefully get myself in the running
there's
for an
a-
Alpha
there's
1
a
key.
significant conflict there.
You know what?
I think
though,
I'm going to be
Steven?
making some donations.
People like our paint, as we've noticed from last year.
Thing is, Steven's
But we will
beard
be
can
having
grow in a
people
couple of weeks.
tested for COVID. We're going to be bringing
So,
in a group of people
I mean,
together.
him shaving
to
his
play. I
beard
think
isn't
about
that big of a
7
deal.
of us, right? 6
Now,
or
if I
7 of us
shave
who are gonna be
this-
playing
Yeah, I'm not
together.
sure.
I mean, this is
We'll
almost
be
2
playing-
years.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
So
it's
a year,
just,
10
I
months.
don't know how many are in the party,
Okay.
but it'll at least probably be 5 or 6. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Um,
are in the party. I'll be DMing. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
so Steven will
this,
actually be
I mean,
DMing
you
this
could get a
time
little more
instead of
value out of
P.
it.
And we'll
then donate
have
the hair
a
to
group of people that
small
will be joining
hairless
us.
children.
We're going to test for COVID. We're going to be safe, but that group of people will be together. We're going to also have some
Make
call-in
little wigs
time,
out
so
of
we'll
it or
have some break
something.
time so people can eat. Our 16+ hour Pathfinder crew can actually get some sleep.
But
We
I will
actually
not
have a
be
4-hour
shaving
break
this.
during the evening for them to take a nap. And in that 4-hour break, we're doing a
Maybe
Minecraft
after
Baron
Christmas
building,
next
which will
year,
be
we'll
really
see.
fun. Where you guys in chat are going to pick from a slew of buildings, Baron buildings, which they don't know which buildings they are, and they're not going to know until the moment you all vote, and then they're going to see it, and then we're going to follow them around. It's going to
My
be
stream's gonna have to
survival
get a little
mode,
bigger,
PvP
I
on.
think, before
They
I get
can
into
totally
something like
mess
that.
with each other, and at the end of the 3 or 4 hours, we will do our judging, and we will see we'll see what's goodness. We'll be hopping into their different TeamSpeak channels and stuff, and asking them questions and spying on them throughout. It'll be good times. So definitely
Also,
come hang out with us.
Also, something different this year for the D&D campaign, or sorry, the Pathfinder campaign, is each player will have an opportunity to find cash prizes within the world of Vera for their character based off of what achievements they make in their storyline. And the company will be matching the cash prize that goes to the player towards the donation of the Extra Life event as well.
That's so cool.
Now,
That's
if
so
they
cool.
That's
die,
interesting.
however, if their character dies, their cash rewards get halved. And they
What?
get halved each time they die. So they need to try to stay alive, and players can donate to impact, help, or be a detriment to the player during
Oh,
the
no.
campaign.
Oh, I'm gonna need to add like another section to the overlay then, because I would love to have like a counter of every character's
Oh,
like
yeah.
amounts. Okay,
Yes.
that gives me ideas. I'll have to figure out how that's gonna work, because Ian's
Sounds
gonna
like it's
going
gonna
to
get complicated.
Yeah, and
I'll
the
figure it
total
out.
cash prize per player can be up to $1,000 if they don't die,
Wow.
and if they manage to achieve all of the
You can
points in
revive
the
us, though, you
prize.
guys.
And just so you know, Steven is ruthless. He is a ruthless GM.
So if you check out the article, there's also all of the ways that you can affect the game. So you can revive people, you can mess with us, you can make some weird wild magic stuff come up, and all kinds of goodies. So definitely come hang out. It's a good time, and it's for the children. It's on,
It's
like
for the
off our work time.
children.
It's a separate, it's on the weekend. Everyone's just kind of volunteering their time for it.
Yeah,
and
but it's
hopefully
not
you all have
children in
fun.
my
It's gonna be
area.
good times. And you'll get to meet some new folks on our team, because a few of them are going to be playing some various games with us. We'll also be doing like Among Us and some more Jackbox games where you guys can, as viewers, be part of it. So yeah,
Hopefully more
come hang out with us.
people
It's going to be great.
Stay awake.
Beyond that, I want
This
to
year.
move on to our studio updates. Steven, if you want to talk about that, and then also talk about our creative director's letter, which I will pop up on screen the timeline once you get to that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, as many of you likely have read, we did release the creative director's letter in October, and in that letter, we did reveal the testing date schedule for Alpha 1. Now, this is the schedule as it is today, but with development, it is entirely possible. I want to make sure we're setting the right expectations. It is entirely possible that as these periods come about, there are things that we need to address, or there could be delays that occur based on kind of our iterating through what we're learning from these different test dates. So keep that in mind, be cognizant of that. However, as things
delays
stand,
are always
we do have
possible.
the first testing with all Alpha 1 participants coming up in December. It'll be a 4-day test, after which there'll be a full wipe of the servers. That will be under NDA. However, I will be obviously streaming. The studio will be releasing video content of those events, so you
Curated.
can kind of see the state
Most likely.
of the game during.
I still
during the
think
NDA,
they're kind
relevant
of shooting
pre-tests.
themselves in the foot
And then following up on that,
doing
in February, there'll be an
2
additional 4-day
NDA tests,
test,
especially when so
preparing
many people,
for the month-long
like
Alpha
creators
1,
such as myself,
that
who
will
are
still be under
hoping
NDA.
to
And
get an
then
Alpha
come
1,
March,
but
we
those who
will
already
have a
have
one-week
an
test in
Alpha 1
preparation for the full month
have been
test.
basically
That will
selling
not be
their
under NDA,
communities
and we will be inviting our official
on
content
having
creators,
that
of which
access
we'll
to
be
Alpha
releasing
1
information, more
through
information,
them, right? Through
probably
vicarious
around
means. So
the start of the new year.
it's definitely hurting
For
the
what
hype
that
train.
content creator
You know,
program looks
it's
like. I
not
know Margaret's been doing
it's
some
not
work on that with
maintaining
the
or
community
building
team and
hype,
preparing
but
the official content creator
Yes.
program
know,
for next year.
Steven
We're
doesn't
So
seem to
excited
care
to-
about the hype.
Yes, and we're excited.
Like that's
to
the
kind
thing.
of,
Like
to
they
roll that
really
out.
don't seem to care
Additionally,
about
as you guys have probably
the
been
hype
aware
or
over the
anything
last,
that
couple of
much.
live
Like
streams,
they
we did
just
go
they
through our
really seem to
hiring
be in that
period, our hiring phase, and that is
situation
predominantly
of
finished.
if you're
There
here,
still
you're here. If
obviously
you're
are gonna
not,
be
you're not.
positions
I
that
don't
are
care.
left up on
And
the,
that
on
unfortunately
the
is not
intrepidstudios.com website. And that's
in the
because we're always
spirit
looking for
of
talent in
listening
certain
to your
positions,
community,
and
because you're
certain
not
positions have
supporting your
multiple seats
community
at the studio,
with that
so
kind of an
it's
attitude,
important to keep those up
unfortunately.
as we
But
kind
I
of
understand
continue to move through the year.
why
Our
they're
next
doing what
major
they're
hiring
doing, but
phase, which will probably
I
start
think
around the end of January timeframe. You'll receive
I
more
don't think
information on
it's
that. You
it's
guys can
helping
help
them
us,
any. That's all
as
I'm
you guys
saying.
have
It's not
already helped
helping.
us and done a great job in kind of spreading the word for Intrepid Studios and Ashes of Creation. We've received
Can I note
just
on
a
that? Like
Yeah.
our social media, like you all have been so lovely. Violet Light has been just loving interacting with you all, and me too. I pop in there, and I know Steven does too. We have so many amazing people leaving wonderful comments, and you're engaging with us on a lot of our funny questions that we offer. And some of them are development oriented. We're definitely, we try to sneak those in there outside of the dev discussions. So yeah. And
Now, I'm just being
I
a
wanna also
realist. I'm
say,
not
like,
being
all of
negative.
the-
I'm just being.
Sometimes we go to like respond to
a
somebody, and
realist.
someone else in our community has already
You know,
like
I don't-
responded
I
to a
don't
tweet, responded to a
fanboy.
Facebook post, responded
I
to
don't white
Discord.
knight.
So like, all
But,
of those
I mean, I'm
things
not
are very
gonna,
welcoming and helpful.
say
And, you know,
anything
For
you don't
sure.
need to be condescending to
bad. I
anybody.
mean,
You
I
just give them the
understand what
answers,
they're
'cause a
doing,
lot of
why they're
people just
doing
don't
it. I
know.
just
They-
think
you know, like
from the
that's their first time
community
hopping in and seeing
perspective, from
Ashes
a
of Creation,
sales
for you all to be
perspective,
really welcoming is
um,
gonna make me
this
cry.
isn't
Yeah,
I'm a proud mom.
I've been
the
a
way they're
part
doing the
as
alpha
a
one
player,
isn't good.
You know, part of a lot of MMORPG communities, and one thing that's extremely evident to me, and I think the rest of the Intrepid team, is just how welcoming and positive and friendly the Ashes of Creation community is. I mean,
I
it's
don't think they're
important,
following the same
obviously,
chats
as you
I've
create
been
an
following.
MMORPG, that the ecosphere in which the community exists
I
is
would
a
say-
positive one,
I would
and
say that
is a
the
friendly
newer
and
people
inviting
are very
and
friendly.
welcoming one, because that
The
aids in
older
the momentum of population
people
when it comes
On the
to
community,
people
I've
staying and sticking
found
to the server and the game. That social
overall,
experience is an important one,
on
and
average,
having a good community is really
haven't
an
been
integral
as
component
positive.
of that highly social environment that people want to be a part of.
I've
So
found
you guys have done
several to be
amazing
very
job
toxic. In
in
fact,
kind of satisfying the itch of what a good community can be for a lot of players who either
so I
might be
appreciate
new
all
to
the other new
MMORPG genre,
creators, but
or
some of
may
the older
have
ones,
not
yeah, I
experienced
just.
this community since the heydays of MMOs that they were originally part of, and it
And
itches
some
their
But
people-
old
again,
nostalgic
they're
fever.
Some people even
curating
said
all
this
of their
is gonna be
content.
their first MMO, which
You know,
I'm
they're
like,
Oh, that's so
they're
cool.
keeping everything
I
positive.
remember
It's
my
part of the
first
sales and
MMO, you know, like,
marketing.
and I look back at the fond memories that I have and the nostalgia that I have, and I hope that we can bring that to other people. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, just always keep in mind, the more people there are, the more fun this game gets.
And that's why I don't post
and
on their
it's kind
forums
of, that's how
anymore.
we're building
I've
it,
had
is
Basically
more
nothing
people,
but
the
negative
more
experiences on their
opportunities for
forums.
cool things to happen.
You know, I
So-
stay off their Discord for the most
Yeah, so
part
that's
because
kind of the
I'm
studio
reading
update,
what's going
the
on, and
creative director's letter. The
there's a
dates that
lot
were
of,
announced,
I
and
think
by the
side
way,
eye
I missed the
and
last
stuff
date.
like
The last
that
date
goes
is,
on,
the
and
month-long test
most
that's going
important
to
you know,
be.
it's not as it's not all as
The
friendly as they
month-long
sell
test
it to
that's
be
gonna
right now, and that's
in
unfortunate.
April, starting April 6th, going to May 6th. Obviously,
But that
just
happens
to
when you have an
reiterate
old
once more,
community that's
Alpha
very
1,
established,
This is a true development alpha.
and then you have a
This
bunch
is
of new
not
people
a
coming
marketing
in,
alpha.
and
And what that means
you know,
is, as
the
you
new
know,
people
part of the
kind of dust things
process
up a
here in
little bit,
developing
right?
Ashes of
And you get
Creation is being
members of the
open
old
with that
community
development so you
go
guys
around
can
trying to
see that
dust
progress.
everything off, right? You know,
And
trying to.
it is a double-edged
You know,
sword.
they don't like
People
it
are,
when we
you know,
come
there are
in
going to
and,
be a
and start
spectrum of
asking
people that exist who are
questions
very
and
involved with
challenging
games development, and
certain
those who are just
ideas because
completely,
they're
you know,
already
at an arm's length away in
entrenched.
understanding the process, and they may look at, you know, Alpha One, the people who don't really understand the development process or haven't been a part of it, they may look at it and they may think, oh, you know, this is trash, looks like trash, you know, whatever, this is the end product. But at the end of the day, what's important for us and what yields the best possible product is for us to include as much as possible the community in that development process with no NDA, so that you guys give valuable feedback. And as we go through the iterative process in further defining the game and fleshing out that content, we're doing so with the player in mind and their voice in our ear. That is, I think, one of the key distinguishing factors between our development and many developments that you guys may have seen in the past, and products that have shipped in the past or are still shipping today, that don't include that process. So, you know, we've kind of hung our hat on that being a positive thing, and we're going to continue forward doing so, taking into account the two-sidedness of that sword. So.
Yeah, you know, what's funny is I just did like a IGDA meetup, and a lot of developers were talking about how, you know, closed doors development is, and, you know, someone even mentioned that Intrepid is a great they used it as an example for how, like, good open development. I was like, I work for them. And the person, I don't think the person realized it, because obviously I was dressed up as like a costume. But it was really, it was a moment where I was like, oh, I'm so proud of everybody. Like, we definitely try our best. And I think, you know, no matter what, we're going to make mistakes. I want to be upfront about that. Like, it's going to happen. You know, and obviously throughout our process, we're going to learn a lot of things. So you're learning it with us. So thank you so much for being on the journey with us and being understanding. It goes a long way. And, you know, it's not something that everyone's doing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Stephen?
No, I think that's it.
Cool. Then I think we can move on to the design update. Do we want to play the video first?
Yeah, but let me preface this video. So we did a little short video, and just to give you guys an idea, as we've been leading up to the December test for Alpha 1, we've been trying to optimize as much as possible a lot of the network traffic that occurs on the server, the processing that happens on different server workers, and obviously one of the largest most costly aspect of of the gameplay is player movement, and the more players you include in an area, the higher player density, the kind of exponential that replication occurs between knowing the position and updates of players around you that are relevant, and as you.
Well, thank you very much, Matthew Bentley, for the follow. Thank you. Welcome, welcome to the stream.
Add more players, that becomes very, very, very a lot. So the engineering team has been working pretty diligently, at least over the past few weeks, on optimizing as much as possible the way movement in Unreal Engine works, kind of customizing a little bit what we need for Ashes of Creation for that to encompass a large portion of players. Now, yesterday, the smaller amount of people, I think we only had about 80-ish that were connected in a very dense location, everybody around each other. But that gives us good metrics for us to kind of understand how that's going to scale as it goes up even further. So we wanted to just
they have to get that into thousands,
kind of show the progress in seeing those amount, or at
least
of players,
hundreds, anyways.
Their movement being fluid and smooth around each other, kind of getting that update a lot better than where it was 2 months ago, and 2 months prior to that, and 2 months prior to that. It's a process. But what you're going to see is just a little short.
Yeah, when I'm doing dance parties on the server,
obviously,
I'm hoping to have hundreds of people.
A lot of the effects are still very first pass, and many have not had an opportunity to take second passes on. So you're going to see them being, maybe overly bright, a little oversized, but that kind of stuff is easy to kind of second pass on. So that's why we don't prioritize it, early on. So don't take too much issue with the over effects stuff there.
And animations are still in progress, so there might be some changes that you'll see coming along the lines with those as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So just wanted to preface.
Okay. All right. We'll see you after the video.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video inside the.
So I haven't seen any of this yet. So this is all new for me still.
As you can see, I'm surrounded by some fellow compatriots here outside of a castle. They are jumping up and down like crazy. We're just having a good old day of testing. I'm joined by Margaret Crone, our community marketing lead, and Sarah Flanagan, our senior community manager.
Great. Hello. I'm gonna kick your butt.
Yeah, I don't know why my team's trying to kill me.
I'm on the defending side.
So just to give you guys a little bit of a refresh, as you guys know, we're working currently towards Alpha 1. A lot of what we've been doing in today's test has been iterating upon some of the player character movement and how that needed to be a little smoothed up, and we've gotten some good progress out of today's testing. Compliments of our glorious engineering team, in particular Adam Pipich has been doing a great job on the movement update, so that's good to see. But what you guys can see now is we're in front of a castle. And as you guys know, castles can be owned by guilds, essentially guilds that are capable of
very small castle
of winning the siege, the innocent
test
siege
castle.
of the castle, and defending it over time. Some of the things we talked about in the past, a little bit about castle sieges, is that
tomorrow my beard will get dry because I'll have so much product in it.
There will be nodes that the owning guild will have to kind of develop, and part of that development is kind of collecting taxes.
Getting a photo shoot done tomorrow afternoon.
Under the purview of that
oh yeah, I don't have a drop.
Castle holds control.
Guess I should do a draw.
So while you seek Yoda,
Welcome to the stream, Mr. Yoda.
For Alpha, what we thought we'd do today is demonstrate a little bit of some.
I'm gonna be putting this up on YouTube,
combat,
so
within the
I'm not
castle. There
doing
is an
too much.
objective
Saves
inside
me
this
on the
particular
editing.
Castle right now. There is a little tax caravan in there, and as the attackers, we are going to try.
Nice.
To
I
get
think
a
their
foothold
spell effects
inside,
are definitely looking
eliminate
better.
the defending players and see if we can destroy some of the caravans.
Thank you.
Try. You could try to eliminate
Are you on
us.
the enemy team, Margaret?
Tomorrow I'll be
Yeah.
streaming
Oh my
in
gosh.
costume.
Or am I
Traitor.
spy?
You're. Oh, are you spy?
What-
What's the?
Any
what's the
guesses
defending
on what my
They're
costume
not
is for tomorrow?
Setting up in a defending position like they
Dude.
should be. Oh, they're all
Playing-
moving now that I said that. though.
Are they playing leapfrog?
I was just like, they're not really in a defending position right now.
Well, there's no time like the present, so let us see if we can we can get in there, guys. Let's move forward. Let's charge.
You actually get to see
Don't
some
shoot until you see the
PvP
whites in their eyes.
combat.
I'm coming after you, Maggie.
You can try. Come at me.
Well, it's been pretty
You're
easy
supposed
so
to
far.
protect me.
As the tank, I'll run in first. Oh god. Oh my god, I cannot see anything. Kill the purple ones.
Kill the healers, I'm guessing. That's what
Oh
he's-
my god.
he got nuked pretty
cheat a little
early
bit.
there.
Cheater.
Looks like
Hold on, let me health real quick. Hold on, let me fix it.
oh he's doing some console.
Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm impervious. They can't harm me.
He's a little hard as a healer right now.
So he just god moded himself. It's cheating.
Oh, where's my
I
where's
saw
my
you,
attack?
Steven.
Get over here.
I will say that is a lot of stuff in your face though. Like for combat and these PvP battles, that is a lot of stuff you're going to have to look through.
I'm
Especially
laying
that
down my
big
best
black
covering
Get
fire.
out of here.
wheel thing.
No,
Yeah,
you
I guess
can't.
I'd be a very old dwarf, I guess. 17
Oh, my fellow attackers are here.
or what's it? 11 or 1200
Clear
year
the
old
field
dwarf.
and let's try to take down the caravan.
I mean the effects look cool. Like the graphics and everything on the effects look pretty awesome. Oh, am I not
DPS
on
the
the
caravan down.
quality?
I could only heal
Oh,
so
they're
much.
coming.
Well, let's see. We get
Coming
better
in from the
quality.
left.
There we go. Jeez, don't know why it was on such low quality there. That looks much better. Way better. 1080p. So yeah, all the spell effects do look pretty cool.
Targeting the caravan.
Yeah, well, okay, he
Poor
gave
horse is so
himself like
nonchalant.
thousands of life is what he did, so.
We gotta get back there. Stop
Yeah,
them
like when
from
you get like
killing
that
each
big
other.
black
back
thing
in
there, like
time.
that,
I
it's,
think
it's
we
hard
can,
to
we can
see
do it.
around there, for sure.
It's almost out.
Someone reach quick.
Hey, we got it.
No, not our
GG.
caravan.
Everybody just
Back
fell
down.
down. Yeah, some of the player
you can loot-
movement, I
you
can
can loot
definitely
some-
see what they're talking about,
Try to
where
loot some-
it's just a little, it's a little off.
Loot the taxes.
Now, how do you loot? Like, is it just auto loot, or do you actually have to engage? I can't really
I
tell.
found Adam. Oh,
They may have taken my life, but they can't take my dignity.
Well, and Steven zooms
No,
all the
we
way
gotta
out,
run.
right? Like, I'm pretty
Retreat.
sure in the same situation, we're going to zoom ourselves in a bit more, I would expect.
What fat loot did you get, Steven?
I don't know. I think I got some of your taxes.
What?
I don't know what was
I
in it.
worked
I
so
think there
hard
might have
for
been
that
gold.
money.
I think it might have been gold.
to pay.
Yeah, I
pay
mean, I
our
guess if
mayor
you're using like
GMX.
that spell there, right? I mean, I guess you're
Anyways,
kind
guys,
of
it all
using
in
that
one
as
place
Just
now.
some
wanted to
sort
show
of a
you some of
visual.
the very early Alpha
shield.
1 combat. Obviously, we're going through a significant overhaul of
He's
the
like falling
combat
down
stat
and still
system.
moving. I don't like
in
that.
addition, you'll likely see in the non-NDA version of the Alpha 1
I mean, that's
some
some sort of a
major
weird
changes
stun.
in the general feel and appearance of combat as our designers are continuing to overhaul and iterate on the testing that we've done thus far. So really appreciate everybody kind of tuning in and watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, as I said, it's early, but you'll be able to then see, hey, Alex, what are you trying to do here? Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at this unadulterated anger from Alex.
Yeah, I'm watching from above.
Anyways, we'll see you guys back on the
I mean,
stream.
the spell effects,
Yeah.
they're pretty original. I like that. They don't look a lot like
All right,
other.
so we're just gonna have
other
the
games, so
game
that's very
kind of
nice.
playing in the background while we chat. But I noticed that there was a lot of comments in regards to specifically the particle effects, which we did address before we played the video.
Right.
But if you want to talk a little bit about that again,
Yeah,
Steve.
and just to kind of give you guys ideas, right? Like as I was watching the stream and it's okay. There we go. As we develop, and our effects artist, which Jim is a very, very talented effects artist, as you can see with the effects. But when it comes to kind of polishing those effects,
Like, it's a
that
little bright,
includes a
some
few
of 'em.
factors.
know,
One, some of the effects need
effects-
significant reductions in their general size. And that's because
That's a
obviously as you
healing
enter
one they're
into
doing
kind of raid
now. That little raindrop
situations,
thing.
whether it be
As far
raid
as I
versus
know, I think
raid
that's a
or
heal.
PvE events where you have a lot of players that are kind of using these effects. Not only will the effects be customizable on the client side to kind of tune them to a degree, but also our second and third passes from the
But they do
effects
look good.
team is going to be taking a look at reducing some of the sizes like the black hole effect or the template that's on the ground for the meteor effect. The brightness of particles is also something that gets
some of them
that
are a
will
little
be,
bright, especially once you get ray
you know,
tracing
iterated
on. Like
some of the particles are very bright
That's definitely going
as well. But
make it a little
the
harder
idea
on
here
the-
is to
on a
you know,
system.
from an effects pass standpoint, you have these list of abilities that exist, obviously with all the different classes that are present. And as you're running through to get effects in place for all of them, you're making these first passes on each of these abilities, and that's getting implemented into the game's development. Now, you guys may have heard the term like gray box when referring to games that are in development. If they don't have an asset, they'll use a gray box, right? Or they'll throw something in that's kind of placeholder. Our approach is similar in that regard with effects, right? In the sense that we're not throwing in gray box particles per se, right? We're throwing in a representation
That
of what the
blinker looks really
particle
cool.
coloration
it.
is going to
The
be,
cloud
how
and
its
everything it leaves
interaction is going to
behind.
look like. But it just hasn't had that second and third pass. So you're going to see that kind of often through different alpha footages that you're going to get in Alpha 1, because our philosophy is let's throw the first pass in there, and then as we kind of get all
Looks
of
like that
those in
buff
place for
stacks.
each of the classes, then we'll go back and do second pass. We'll tune them appropriately.
Cool. And I think there were some concerns about like color blindness and epilepsy and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys want to kind of talk about that and address that a little bit. Obviously, I know that'll be like further down the line as well, but those are things that you guys are definitely thinking about as you're creating these things, right?
For sure. I mean, little known fact. I don't know how many people know, but I'm actually red and green colorblind, and it is definitely an important aspect of in particular of UI related informational type things. So that includes like the attacker that'll have like a red icon next to them. It's not just going to be color dependent. There'll also be a texture. There will also be an icon like a sword to represent that. For defenders, you'll have a shield and a blue background with a different type of texture on that. Same is true for a lot of different user interface points.
I wonder how many people are going to be looking at the information you
well.
just typed into the console there.
Do you guys want to talk a little bit about maybe Castle Siege and PvP stuff, or are you ready to move on to the next topic?
Oh yeah, no, we can absolutely talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So as was described kind of in the video with regards to the taxation and each week kind of leading up to
Yeah, that black hole is
the
huge.
ultimate Castle Siege itself, one of the important aspects on a weekend basis that's going to occur between the relationship that the castle has with
Be nice to
nodes
see what
under
ray
its
tracing will
purview in
do
its
with a lot
economic
of those
region
effects.
is going to be moving those NPC generated caravans at a time that the lord determines of the castle. But it has to be during one of the weekends in the weeks preceding. And if they don't make that choice, it'll be by default at a certain time period that's central to the server's core time zone. But those then NPC-driven caravans will make their way to
So the
one
caravan
of the
doesn't look
subordinate
like the
nodes
caravan
around the
has
castle.
like a
And those
life
nodes,
bar
you know,
on it.
obviously are different than the node
Or maybe
system
that's what it says, interact.
in
Maybe
the
that's
Vera
its life.
proper. These are dedicated specifically to the castles.
Okay, yeah.
And as those tax revenues come in, they
Well, no,
help
so
to
its health
build
keeps
and
going up.
support one of those
usually it's up to do
nodes
with the
corresponding
player.
to which
Or he's
week it is.
tabbing
There's 3
between
nodes,
players.
3 preceding weeks to the castle siege week. And then players who are perhaps enemies of that guild have an opportunity
Okay,
to
yeah, that's what
intercept,
he's doing.
destroy, and raid, loot those caravans. So while a lot of those systems aren't currently set up in Alpha 1, we do have the caravan system set up that you can assign yourself as attacker defender. We have some of the castles that are present in Alpha 1 that you can see, and we just kind of wanted to use this kind of demonstration
attacking the
to show you what
horse.
this might look like at a smaller scale.
So mean.
Yeah,
I guess
Jeff, I don't know if you have
I have
anything
a
to add.
question for Jeff, actually, if you wouldn't
Yeah.
mind talking a little bit about it. When it comes to classes and PvP, what is kind of like your design theory on like designing for that? Obviously, I know we have a lot of people who are interested in PvP, and balance is kind of a lot of people's concern with 64 classes.
I mean, yeah, it's a big, huge, gigantic thing to work on, right?
Yeah.
But the way that we're approaching it philosophically is not 1v1 combat, right? Like that would be an impossible thing for
What
us
I'm also
to really
noticing is
do,
everybody's
and it's not
purple.
really a direction we want to go with
So
the
how do you
game,
know
right?
who's on your team or not?
We're really focused on sort of mass PvP,
'Cause
right?
y'all
So
kinda
not
went
like
in as a
one-on-one
group,
kind of encounters,
but was
not
it like
really
an
even party
FFA?
versus party encounters, but like these big, fights around nodes, these big fights around castles, these big fights around
In and around here, he starts getting
caravans.
knocked
So
down, and he
a lot
keeps
of it
moving.
is trying to figure out ways and balancing ways for
Excuse me.
classes to work together synergistically, so that like your focus as a
It's
team
raining
is
around here.
building out the best
Yeah, so he gets knocked down, and then
comp
he just
that
keeps moving
synergizes
though.
best for what you've got.
I don't like
And
that.
we balance it that
If
way.
you get
So
knocked
we
down, you should
balance
get knocked
party on
down,
party,
you
we
stop moving.
balance party group on group, and sort of the different configurations of those things. So we look at it more as a macro scale balance problem rather than like a micro scale balance problem. So there will certainly be classes, that, especially depending on your builds, because we are a build focused game, that just blow other comps out of the water, and that's okay for us. But what we do want is for parties to be relatively well balanced as long as they've been built sort of with the encounter in mind.
Right, and just to expand a little bit on that, we have specific terminology when referring to archetypes and classes. Classes are the combination of your secondary archetype with your primary archetype, right? And a base archetype is one of the 8 base archetypes that we have present. The 4 martials.
So I wonder
and
how
4
long before
arcane, the
somebody comes up with
ranger,
the
fighter,
cookie
tank,
cutter group build
and
that
rogue,
basically
and
says
the
this is
cleric,
the
bard,
best group build
mage,
you
and
want
summoner, right? So those are the 8 archetypes.
for,
Now, when you look at
the majority of
balancing,
your
as
encounters.
Jeff was saying, we kind of focus more on the group and even larger as a balancing aspect. And what that means is we're adhering to kind of the Holy Trinity principles, and at the same time, that represents kind of a rock paper scissors balance between individual archetypes and classes. So it's understood that some classes and or archetypes on a 1v1 basis will be disadvantaged or will have the advantage, and that we're okay with that because
And I
again,
like
our
that.
focus is the larger engagements.
I mean, your
and with that
squishies
being
should be
said,
squishies.
the active skills stem from your base archetype. So from a design standpoint, even though augments do radically change the way your active skills kind of provide you abilities, there's still a primary focus on the base archetype itself and not the 64 whole classes, so to speak.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a really good point, right? Where we're not really talking about 64 true classes. We're talking about 8 classes with 64 variants. And again, like how you build those variants kind of depend on where you spend your skill
Well,
points.
not
You know, you
it'd
could
be
lean more into your subclass or lean less into your
48.
subclass depending on where you're putting your points. So
48
there
variants.
isn't as
8
much
classes. Because your
variance
8
between the
classes will be
64
your
classes as
pure
you might
your
expect,
pure
right?
class.
It's not like there are, you know, 64 different versions of, I don't know, like radically different classes. There are 8 classes, 8 archetypes that are all, you know, they have the same chassis, but then they have different augments put on top of that to sort of change the performance of that chassis, to
Right.
make a car analogy.
Or caravan. Sorry.
Or caravan now.
Awesome. And obviously, y'all can ask further questions in future updates and stuff like that. So definitely toss us your questions. I know we have a few other questions that are in the mix of things that I will be asking during our Q&A segment. But we're going to move on to our environment segment, if you guys are both okay with that. We have a lot to go through, so... on the environment side, we have a lot of assets to go through, so bear with us as we go through them. While I'm going through these, because there are a lot, in regards to
See, we're not
Dunir
seeing a lot of
buildings
orc
and
stuff.
Dunir,
We're seeing a lot of
objects and
Dunir
things of
stuff
that sort,
lately.
And then we go into kind
Now,
of
I
like
don't
plant
care
life
about the
stuff.
orcs, but
So
I'm
if you
just
wanna
saying
first
we
talk
haven't
a
seen a
little
lot
bit
of
about the work that's going
orc
towards
stuff.
nodes and leveling up process. I know we've been talking about this as we've gone further and further, but obviously there's more work being done every month in this. This is part of a big system that will affect all of, like, a lot of our systems in game. It's like a core system. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about what's
very
happened between last
geometrical.
month to this month in regards to that, and I will go through all of these assets.
Sorry, I missed the first part of the question.
I also missed the first. I was hoping
Oh,
Jeff didn't miss the
weird.
first part of the question.
If you guys want to talk, I'm going to go through the Dunir buildings and objects, and there's a lot of them. If you guys don't mind talking a little bit about
I mean, I don't
the
mind
node
seeing more
process
Dunir
and,
stuff.
that.
I'm just saying
Node
that
process.
there's
What is-
more
the
than
work
the
that's gone on
Dunir,
between
and we've
last month
seen
and
a
this month.
lot of
Obviously,
Dunir in
it's
the
a core
last
system
3
that we
months.
have.
I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
But, I
so
mean,
essentially,
my
You're
feelings aren't going to
distracting
be
them.
hurt
Stop it, chat.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
because
So
I'm going Dunir,
moving
so
into
I'll
Alpha
be
1,
happy
we've
to
started
see
to stand up
all
additional
of the goodies.
components for how design and environment approach the propagation of nodes within the world. So
Ooh,
originally it was a little bit more brute force and manual how the placement of buildings within a node's essential levels, and as it leveled up, it would unmask those buildings. It would show those buildings, so to speak. What we've done now is engineering has provided tools to essentially give the design team this design data table by which they can drive at scale the larger selection of nodes that exist within the world. Jeff,
Now,
do you
are
wanna expand
these-
a little bit on that?
Yeah,
These aren't
so,
in-game assets yet. This is still
as Steve was
concept
saying
art.
before, like the tech for the node system that you've seen previously has all been sort of like the underlying backend stuff that manages all of that. But in terms of like the actual presentation of the node,
Buildings
it was
are
all
pretty
fairly
aged.
static. So we had kind of the same node stamped across the world, and each node kind of felt the same, right? So now what we're getting and what has kind of been unlocked is the ability to do things more
Good
dynamically and more
heavy
procedurally, so
doors.
that when a node spawns, there is
Well,
the
at least we
opportunity
can change
to
in privacy.
have different layouts and have different buildings and have different sort of architectures,
Statues.
and each node starts to feel like its own place, right? So it's not the
You
same.
know, it
node
looks a
over and
lot
over
like
again.
Stargate
Now we've got
Atlantis.
a node that kind of
The
evolves
more I
and
see a
changes,
lot of this stuff, this
depending
really
on,
looks like it's like a
where
lot
it's
of
at
Stargate
and,
Atlantis kind
what
of
the environment is and what
architecture.
races procced it. So we start to get some of that
Wow,
differentiation
that looks good. I
that
like
we
that
haven't had
studded
previously.
leather there.
And so this is what I call like our real node system.
See a
Now
chest.
we can do some
Ooh, it's
really
a
cool
heavy
things
chest.
where, you know, when a node levels up, it maintains
very
this sort
aged.
of the same feeling, so it feels like it's growing out from its
I wonder
city
how
center,
long
right?
the portal's been
And
open
it has
in
this
Vera
identity that
before
it kind
we
of
actually
evolves
show
and,
up,
and,
because
people get to understand it.
or is this
But
stuff
then
that's
when it gets
been
destroyed, and
refined?
it starts
that's-
over again, and
been
people
left
level
there.
it. It's completely different the next time. So
Yes.
that's a lot of like where we're playing with right now, and trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
sort of the best way for design to approach that problem in terms of populating NPCs and putting quests in, making those quests smart. So that's kind of where we're at that point. We're playing with the real node system, and that's sort of what you'll be starting to see in these alpha previews. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done there, so it will feel more static than what I'm talking about, but the underlying architecture is there, and as we get more and more assets, we'll be able to
Can't
sort of
help
build
but
that out and
thinking
get that
they
full
are
dynamic feeling.
further behind in production than they're
Awesome.
leading us on
And
to
then
believe.
I do have some other things that I want to
With that answer.
I'm gonna move those up in this
Like,
in the scene
I don't
here.
think they're ready for even an Alpha 1. I think they
We
might
can go over
be
those.
like a year out still behind an
I've
Alpha
also
1.
got some
Oh,
really
yes.
cool rocks. Like this is
That's
kinda
that's
like
gonna
these
crush
This is
that
no
portal
rock.
You know,
box.
that's not a rock. That's a
That's
that's
a
an
poop.
overhead.
Yeah, it's like the overhang on the
of that
island,
concept that you should, yeah, exactly.
giant
that we
poop?
showed previously in the past. I believe this mesh kind of helps to facilitate that over arc that exists where ships can kind of sail through along the
Yeah.
ocean. Yeah.
And
I know
that's
other
a
people are
house
like
down there
it's
for
a
scale.
rock. For us, it's like this is the rock.
And those are little NPCs and stuff down there.
Yep,
Yeah,
those are
it's-
little
That's how
NPCs
big
it
and
is.
houses.
the scale of how big that thing is. And then obviously we have some more plant life that has been being given some love. I saw you guys commenting on the grass, which is funny because everyone's like, we've had that grass there forever, but y'all really liked it.
It's old
There's
grass.
even more amazing plant life coming.
Ferns?
If you're a plant mom like me or plant dad, whatever you define yourself
Definitely,
as.
yeah, definitely
there's
more of
lots.
a
There's more
jungle, rainforesty kind of
I
look.
would like to have my house filled with plants, Steven, so
Yeah, I mean, one
Make that
of the big directives
sunflower
for
almost.
the environment team, and I know
We'll look
Mia
into
has
this
been
side.
amazing in this regard. Is each of the biomes really need to have a fairly eclectic selection of plant life, of vegetation, of foliage. These help
It does
to
look really good.
create the atmosphere that you are really immersed in.
What do you guys think?
This different
There's some
climate
good
zone.
detail there.
And that's
Be interesting to
obviously
see how it moves
something
in
that
like a
we as
breeze
players
or something
enjoy
like that.
when we get to see a significant diversity of plant life, because it does lend itself to the immersive nature of the world. And the world just looks so beautiful. It makes sense for us to
I
have
just want
such
to live there.
dynamicism. Yeah, absolutely.
I think people are saying, can you grow your own plants and then put them in your house and stuff like that? I would hope so. I would love to be able to
but yeah, from a
create my own little plants and then put them in my house and pot them. I just want to live my best witch life. I'm just saying.
She's a green witch.
yes, there
Yeah,
are
got a
crops that
green
you
thumb.
can. There's crops you can have on your freeholds. There's little garden sections that you can have on the static housing in nodes.
Like what I'm hoping for when they
there's
get to the
in-house
broadleaf
decor
plants
items
right
that
here,
will
that
include,
each
plants
individual
that will progress and
leaf
as you kind of grow
will
it
kind of
and
have
give it-
its own
the-
motion,
one of the ideas
right,
I really
in the
like,
breeze. Like same with like
in
this
some of the
other green one
decor
here on the left.
pieces
You would have
is-
something
and
similar.
we'll see if
Like
we
some
can get
really
this
good
added.
dynamic
I don't see it as
movement.
an issue, but I've always kind of liked the idea
Bacon,
that
sorry.
Really add to that
no,
immersion.
no, it's not. I don't. It's not too big of a hassle, but essentially having decor items that are relevant, right? We've talked a little bit about like how you can have stoves and how you can have ovens and whatnot, and those will augment kind of buffs that you can eat and whatnot. Well, the same is true for potentially house plants as well. If you have a decor item that's a house plant, it should be essentially the same basin logic as
They do,
what's
yeah.
out in
They
the garden.
look
You
legit.
can put a seed in
And
there,
that helps with the
perhaps certain
immersiveness.
seeds will
It
have
really helps
different meshes that
with
represent
that
different life
feeling that you're
stages that the
actually
plant is at,
there.
right? Like a little one, bigger one.
That's
and
why
then
I'm hoping the
full-size adult one or
movement
whatever. And
in
if
like
you
a breeze
do,
or the wind,
water it
or when you
appropriately,
run past it,
do
if you
whatever,
run
you
through
can then
it,
harvest or yield
hoping
from it,
the
a
movement
unique item that can only
is
be coming from
legit.
that particular decor item. And then decor items are obviously classified according to tier, and what size your home is will grant you different access to certain tiers of decor items, right? So perhaps only a mansion, person who owns a mansion category type home can have a particular potted plant that yields a unique item that's incorporated into the craftability of certain
sort of
alchemical
fruit.
potions or crafted items, whatever.
Hey, for people saying that plants are useless, do not even come fight me. Water your plants, people. All right, we're gonna move on to character stuff.
Plants convert carbon dioxide
So,
into
for those
air.
of you who paid attention to our creative director's letter, you might have seen some of these, but we also have some video footage for you.
She looks very
And I know
stern.
Stephen also might have shared some of these as well. But if you haven't been, this is a great time to keep up with things on our development update. So look
Yeah,
at
the-
that hair.
These are
Girl.
so obviously as we continue to move forward in the character art towards essentially when we get to a place of having the character creator we want to present to the players and you guys be able to kind of play with that before
Not a fan of
launch
the
and save
breasts
different
in the
designs that you have.
breastplate.
We take feedback
That's not legit.
from the players, and art is obviously a work in progress, and you can see how if you look back a year and a half ago or 2 years ago
Or
where
3
the
years
character
ago.
was, or no,
I
don't.
mean, her armor should look no different than a man's armor, other than the fact that it's made a little smaller, right? Because you have to remember, if you're wearing legit body armor, you have under that plate, you have a leather jerkin, probably a cotton tunic, and then you probably have like a wool shirt underneath that as well, or a wool tunic, and I mean you're gonna have 2 or 3 layers underneath that armor, right? And so as a woman, that's gonna push your breasts down a bit, right? And you're probably going to bind yourself a little bit too, because I can't imagine how comfortable it is for a woman to run in like, I don't know, a sports bra if she's a very well endowed woman. I've seen women, and it looks pretty jerky, right? It looks like it's going to be pretty painful. It probably hurts more back here than it probably hurts anywhere else. So if you're a woman with a bit of a bust, you're going to be wearing some thick clothing under that armor, which means you're not fitting each boob into its own cup, right? And that kind of irritates me. That, to me, wrecks a little bit of immersion. I know it's there for sex appeal. I get that. But everything else about this game, they are trying to make fairly realistic. So why can't you do the same thing with the armor? Because if you can fit each boob into a cup in that armor, well, now what's happening when you're fighting? Your boob is smashing up against this thing, up and down, left and right. I mean, you're gonna walk out of there with bruised boobs. Now, on top of that, right? The other thing that this does is they're rounded. So if I'm, striking, and I hit the inner cup, right? That's just going to drive my blade right into the middle, right? This little spot, right? Basically where the sternum is, right? So the part of this armor, the closest to your body, is your sternum. Well, if you hit your sternum hard enough, what's behind that? Your heart. You hit that hard enough, and you can cause basically a heart attack. You can stop somebody's heart if you hit it hard enough. So not only is this armor impractical from just a sense of you're not, you're as a woman, you're not, flopping yourself into these cups or whatever, but from that perspective of you have this rounded edge, right? So I hit the inside, and it's just going to drive my weapon deeper in, right? Where if it's more of a flat plate, then when it gets hit, right, it's that the whole chest piece, this is basic science, is going to absorb that impact. Now think about denting, okay? Armor is going to dent when you get attacked, and so now you have these dents going into your boobs. I'm like, no woman would wear this. I'm sorry. And this is just very poorly shaped armor. It should look like the man's armor, because the idea of that chest plate armor is it should be 3 or 4, maybe even 6 inches, right, away from your skin, and then you have underneath that, you'll have maybe a layer of chain, you might, because the plate won't stop an arrow, the chain will, more likely, right? So you might have, again, the physical plate, some chain underneath that, maybe a leather, a thick leather, because you want something that's going to absorb the impact as well. And when this stuff does dent, you want that leather to, again, absorb that dented bit. And then you're going to have, again, some thick wool or cotton underneath that, which is going to absorb your perspiration, but it's also going to give you, again, a little more cushioning for that impact. So, yeah, okay, I'm looking at this maybe from too much of a legit perspective, but I don't like it. I like the fact that she's got clothes on, because that's the other thing that irritates me, right? You have all these characters that basically run around naked, and somehow, you know, they don't get carved up like Thanksgiving turkey. But I mean, yeah, I appreciate that they want the feminine look. I get that. I mean, okay, look at what's covering her thighs, right? This iron skirt here, right? Look at how far it comes out from her thighs. That's going to actually offer some protection, right? You hit that, and it's like if you've ever beat a rug with like a hockey stick or something, right? That is going to take that impact and take all the energy out of that strike. So yeah, you might hit her thigh, but you're not going to break it. You're probably going to give it a bruise. And because this stuff is so far away from her leg, it's not likely to cause some serious injury. Now, it's not perfectly protecting. Actually, it doesn't protect the inner thigh really much at all, which that's the most dangerous part, because that's where you have the femoral artery. So you hit that inner thigh there and you bleed to death. But at least, you know, the iron skirt here actually is offering some form of protection. But this chest piece, there's no protection. There is none. It's too close to the skin. It's too form fitting. It's not practical armor. It's you would wear this to a fancy dress party.
Not that, Jeff. If you look back 3 years ago, will you really be scared? But you can
So I'm not
see
a fan
kind
of that.
how
That's just
the
my
character
opinion.
progresses, and this is a great example of just the hairstyle and fidelity that's
But I
possible.
do like the
at
hair.
These particular,
I mean, the chick's got
hairstyles.
some massive
This
hair.
one was done by I
Look at
believe
her
Jim
claws
C,
too, the fingers.
and she knocked this one out of the park. But just kind of gives you idea from a fidelity perspective where we're headed. And here you can see
now this
male
is
version of
more
different
like
hairstyles as
how
well.
the female armor should look basically just like this. But again, it's too close to the body. There's no padding behind that. It's not very realistic. This is armor you would wear for show, right? And again, you got this little cleave right here. I get it's for the decorative purpose of showing the guy's got pecs or whatever. But again, you know, the closest part to his body is you know, to the sternum, and you're just asked, I don't know, from a practical point of view.
Well,
It's
and
not,
players can obviously select to
but
have their helmets.
it's a game.
Visible
I
or not
get it.
visible.
He's got the
and they can
Wolverine
show
claws
off,
too
their
on the
cool
fingers.
hairdos.
You can
They're
rake
cool
somebody.
hairdos.
We
They're
do a couple
cool
spins here.
hairdos.
And we got our little dwarf friend here.
Oh, so they made
nice. I
the
love
female dwarf look like a
dwarven,
Karen.
Hair. The
I
female
love the
dwarven
shaved
hairstyle.
sides. Like it's
I mean,
it's a
it is
very
pretty
in
cool,
style
though.
right now.
I don't know. It might be in
Yeah,
style for
pretty
San
cool.
Diego.
Yeah,
But I
it's
mean, like, look at
awesome.
her armor, right? It
And then we're gonna be moving on to some armor pieces.
you know, like, I mean, it's again very close to the body fit. Dwarves apparently are stacked, but it's just not real, and it just looks like it's already dented in, right? So, like, ladies, how do you think that would feel? You know?
But I wanted to give that dwarf a little spin. And then so these first ones are some leather.
See, this is what you'd be wearing underneath that chest plate. You know, you'd have this on, and then you'd have something like that on, and then you'd have that chest plate on top of that.
pieces that are on the Kalar, and then we'll be moving into some Valoon, like cloth and leather armor. So, are these off?
Yeah. So those are.
And what do you
level
guys
1
think? I
through
mean,
10,
I know it's a
Kalar
game,
leather, I think.
but just for
Yeah.
immersion,
So just to kind of give you guys an example of the in-game armors that are
Looks like you got
earnable,
a little
achievable,
chainmail
craftable,
here.
level 1 through 10. You kind of get an idea of where
You know,
it's,
it's a little thigh
visually
defense.
where those sets
So
are
you
going to
have
be
the
at from both
shield
a silhouette
probably on that side.
standpoint, as well as from a, a texture and material standpoint.
Actually,
Give you
probably
guys an
shield
idea.
on
And then,
this side.
obviously progression in armors. Then this would be a Valoon 10 through 20. I believe this is a 10 through 20 leather set as well. So this is of the Valoon, and this is, I'm pretty sure this
Look
one's
at
the
this one.
in-game
Let's check over
version.
here when
I
they show
don't
it
think
back.
this.
Like, look at this chick here. Not only is this armor, again, very form-fitting, completely unrealistic, but her boobs are derpy, right? Normally, boobs are fairly straight. Her boobs are like that. Like they don't. Maybe when a woman's on her back, they do that, but boobs are usually pretty straight, right? They kind of go up and down. You can, you can make the boobs do different things if you got fancy tassels, but her boobs look derpy, right? It's just like, oh, one's over here and one's over there. These are derpy boobs. I don't like it. I don't like it. That's unrealistic. And look at the culture this is supposed to be representing, right? I mean, this is Middle Eastern culture. They make these people wear like bin bags, right? Like they're black from head to toe in like a bed sheet, right? Or something like that. You are not wearing anything like that. You're not wearing, it ain't gonna look like that. Now I understand it's based loosely on that, on the Middle Eastern culture, but yeah, just no. Just no. No. Personal opinion. I mean, this isn't going to stop me from playing the game. So I'm going to play the game. I'm going to enjoy the game. I'm just pointing out things that, and I'm not even like a modern, it's current year kind of guy. Like I'm not progressive by any means, by any standard whatsoever. I'm, I think all of that stuff is kind of hooey, but just from a tasteful, somewhat realistic point of view, this isn't it at all. No, don't like it.
This is from a cosmetic set. But yeah, just kind of give you guys idea of progression. So as players progress from levels 1 through 10, 10 through 20, 30 through 40, right?
Yeah, this is terrible.
Each of those tiers
terrible
are going
female
to kind
armor.
of, respective to their armor type, are going to progress in silhouette. They're going to progress in, in the intricacies that are present from
Might have to do a
component
video just
standpoint
about
on the armor, and kind of just continue to level up until eventually you get up to, and you guys haven't seen this yet, but when you get up to like 40 to 50 armor or level, or top level armor at level 50, these are going to be pretty significant sets that
yeah. So this is looks like female, or that was probably male.
Look pretty badass, or excuse me, pretty bad butt.
Bad.
Bad butt sounds worse
Bad
somehow.
butt. I know.
But it just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look thick. That's the other thing, right? Like there's no depth to this armor. I'm looking at this and it doesn't. I mean, the more layers you add, you lose definition, right? You lose definition in the body, right? You should look more bulkier, and it doesn't. There's not enough definition being lost. Everything is skin tight, and again, not really. Like they had these folds here, which is okay, right? You got a little opening here at the wrist, right, to kind of show that your arms can actually fit through the sleeves, but it still looks 2D. Like right in here, like this all looks 2D. This doesn't look like there's any real depth there at all.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. And then the long-awaited next segment that we'll be talking about is our glorious gourd winners. We had such a hard time voting. We sent out the voting to our teams, and
It wasn't a hard.
no,
Well, there was one very clear. I mean, I
And
think
maybe
there was
things
like
will change,
100
right? Like, they
pumpkins or
have lots of
something
time
used in it,
to change
so
things.
that-
ooh,
that was
the
great.
person might know then.
Oh,
Well,
whoops.
for this, I'm gonna kind of preface. First and foremost, that obviously we had our Glory Scored contest prize. We want to give a big thank you to AMD for giving us a wonderful graphics card that our winner, our
Oh yeah, because the new
grand
graphics
winner
card
will
are
be
coming
winning.
out here right away.
All
I'm
of the other
definitely going
winners will also win.
AMD. We've spent months talking about, should I go Intel and in Nvidia, or should I wait and see what AMD is going to do? Now that I've seen what AMD is doing with both the processor and the graphics card, my next system is going to be AMD. Now I just have to get the money.
A vintage logo hat of Ashes of Creation, an Ashes of Creation vintage logo lanyard, a vintage logo mouse pad, and also Alpha 1 keys. And as a
I can
little
make those
bonus,
mouse
because we
pads
had
and give 'em
such
away
a
as
hard
gifts.
time voting, we're going to give some
So if you
honorable
guys want
mentions
mouse
Alpha 1
pads, let me
keys
know. I
too.
can add them to the wheel.
Now, I know that some
And I
of
can
you
make it
also
look
probably want to win
exactly
an Alpha 1
like
key,
that.
and I
Mind you, I'll
implore you
have
to come
my
join
logo
us
on
for
there
our
too
Extra Life
somewhere,
live stream, because we'll be giving away some more during that. So stay tuned.
But I can
But
get the
without
mouse
further
pad.
ado, I'm going to start announcing, starting with our gorgeous prize. I'm doing this in the order Toast gave me. So our let me see. She wanted me to go with gorgeous first. So I gotta move it up. All right. Gorgeous first, and that is going to go to Mitch Coco with
That
this
looks
beautiful
really good.
dragon.
That
I
is
think
really
it's
amazing.
It's so good, and like the way that it lights up is just amazing. So really great job.
That is
Yeah,
impressive.
that's pretty cool. Are the horns
Wow.
also pumpkin or
Yeah,
no?
yeah,
Yeah,
No.
that's all.
Yeah.
That's
Are
all.
they? Are you
That's
yeah.
sure?
I'm serious.
that almost looks like
Wow.
it's all one pumpkin
some
too.
That is truly a
Badass
glorious gourd.
carving. So
That is just
really
like,
great
Bad
job.
wow,
This is a
that is
gorgeous
impressive.
pumpkin.
Like these horns could be.
Our Baron
like
friends would be
inserts?
very proud of you.
That looks awesome.
Our next one is going to be going to our glorious prize winner for the most original and epic. And that's going to Llama. I don't know, like that's her name.
Wow,
so
that
I'm
one
just
looks
saying
really
it.
good too. Holy
It's
crap.
llama
Llama
mama.
Llama
Llama mama.
I know, I'm just being funny.
That's
Llama
funny.
Mama, wow. Look at that intricacy of
That
this
is
carving.
just
It's so
crazy.
beautiful.
I like
Um,
the little map detail. The map itself is kind of the continent masses.
You got the
are
map,
carved
says
into it.
Vera,
Yep.
and then
That's
it's
pretty
like it's
cool.
got like the
So,
wings of
Is
the
it a
Congratulations,
pumpkin
phoenix.
Llama Mama.
inside a pumpkin?
It's pumpkin inception.
Yeah, that's definitely a
Pumpkinception.
pumpkin inside a pumpkin.
Pumpkinception.
You couldn't do that with just one pumpkin.
Pump
That's really good too.
Yeah, that's a heckin' bad butt pumpkin there.
That is a good.
Yeah, they do have the
Wow.
old logo, but it's okay. It's
The
beautiful.
level of talent is nuts.
Hey,
Alright.
we don't call it old, we call it original
It's vintage,
The
is
vintage?
what I call it.
or vintage. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is going to our grand prize winner, who will be going home with an AMD Sapphire Nitro Radeon RX 5700 XT. Ready?
Ready.
This is the one that
Ready.
that they're all like. In fact, at one point, I'm just gonna go back. I keep you guys in suspense. In fact, at one point, people in the comments on our like voting thing were like, "If that one doesn't win, I'm gonna rage quit Intrepid." And Steven's like, "No."
Well, when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is
This is some
this is
serious
crazy.
voting. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go to it now. Congratulations to I Hate Healers, which I'm also very sad about this name because as a healer, I keep you alive, sir or madam. Grand prize winner is going to this ridiculous, amazing masterpiece that won the best overall grand prize. Congratulations. They also
I mean, I'll
because this is
definitely
green
give 'em
screened like
props
that,
for
they put
ingenuity.
her, like in the world. It was so good.
Oh, why don't we have that picture in the world?
Because
But-
we when we were doing the judging, we allow you to submit one photo because obviously otherwise you could
Aw.
make multiple photos and then it would be unfair to other people.
I don't know. I think
But
I think
yeah, it's
I think that
quite amazing.
well, so is the mount. It's
Definitely go
supposed
check it
to
out on the
represent.
forums because it's. I implore you to go check it out on the forums because it is amazing.
So just so people are aware, by the way, this is the Daystrider mule.
Yeah, the
mount
Daystrider.
that
Yeah, the
they
Daystrider.
created out of
I
pumpkins,
don't like,
out of,
but
I
it's
guess,
a mule.
more
so-
appropriately, gourds. And it is a
I don't know.
spitting
I would have
image
taken
of the Daystrider
either of
mule. They
those
even
other two
have
carvings
the,
over this,
um,
personally.
They even have the saddleback stuff on the saddle in the back of it as well, which
It's
is
so
crazy.
good.
It's
I just like I want to
ridiculous.
know what
I
the
mean,
thought process
for
or the
its
creative
ingenuity-
process behind this was. It was like, oh, I can make a Daystrider out of pumpkins.
Oh,
A lot of pumpkins.
Yeah,
Like that head is
I,
perfect.
I love
It
the
is
Yeah,
effort of
yeah,
putting together like the
exactly.
green screen to it. Like it's just so good. So congratulations on winning the grand prize. Not only are you getting all of
Yeah.
the vintage goodies
I
and the Alpha 1 key, you are going home with the
I
AMD
think the
graphics
one
card. So
before
again, thank you to
this,
AMD.
or the
Congratulations.
dragon.
Yeah, thank you to
yeah,
AMD,
they
and
were.
hopefully
I
that gives you
personally,
many,
I believe they
many,
would have been better for
long
first or
times
second.
of game.
First and
game
second.
action.
This, yeah, I could see this
now-
being a third.
Y'all are probably wondering who got the honorable mention.
Well, because here too, it's Glorious Gourd Contest. It's not Glorious Gourds. I mean, having a pumpkin in a pumpkin, I would let that slide, right? Like that looked really good, right? I would let that slide. But this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13 pumpkins just for the nose. You know, like for ingenuity, absolutely. Like give this girl something, right? But my opinion, this is not worthy of a first place.
So we're gonna go through those, and these folks will also be getting an Alpha 1 key. So we couldn't, we love you all too much. So congratulations to all of these folks. I'll go through them. Our first one is going to be Paramox.
Oh, wow.
Look how amazing this is. This is my little fox buddy that I designed, and I'm so
That one's
it's
really
so
cool, too.
seeing them on like a pumpkin too. The little kit box. It's so cute.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love the leaves on the tree. Very well done.
Yeah. And like the little lamps are actually glowing and stuff, and the eyes
Yeah,
are
the colors
glowing.
are perfect for it.
It's perfect. It's so good. Our next one is going to Nuggety. Nuggety put together the song, like the notes for the song, had little like people in there who are like the bards. I believe
That's kinda
there's
cute.
supposed to be 8 bards, and even has like instruments in the scene. Like it's so good.
That is really
It's a
cool.
very good
Very cool.
presentation.
Yeah, very very cool. We just
It's
had a
all
hard
lit-
time. You
it's
guys
all
did
lit
so.
up.
We had so many
Yeah,
submissions.
there's a lot of effort put into a
There were
lot
like
of these
300
submissions.
submissions, and we had such a hard time deciding. So we're like, you know what? We're gonna give some more people Alpha keys. The next one here is from Johnny A. This is
Oh, it's the
beautiful masterpiece of art. We also allowed people to do a digital version because we wanted to make it, accessible to everybody. Some people can't get a pumpkin or couldn't leave their house, especially with COVID. So we always like to give people an option to do a digital version as well. And this is amazing. Look at the orc. Just all of
Yeah,
this.
that's very cool.
Very, very well done. So congratulations, Johnny A. Our next one here is the map. Steven, you're talking about
Oh.
a map. This is a friendly neighbor. Wow, the effort that went into this.
That is crazy.
It's madness.
That
So cool.
is crazy.
Y'all are so
he is in my
talented.
Discord right now.
I think we're just in
Who is?
shock at how talented our community is. Down the line, I know Toast and I have talked about doing like weapon contest
Friendly
designs,
neighbor?
costume contest designs, like
That
once the
one's
game
really
is launched and
impressive.
stuff. So like I can't wait to see what freaking
Oh,
crazy
cool.
stuff you guys come up with. It's gonna be amazing. The next thing we have is Flaunt,
Well, that's
which
a
is
really
I love
nice one
the
too.
back of it was carved, and so the
Yeah.
light, if you look at like the light that's shining on it, is a dragon in the background. Like so sick, dude.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Great job, Flaunt.
Oh, cool.
And I can tell to be able to like make those little
Yeah,
bits
I'll
come,
have a
like, and
guild,
go
I think.
through. I've only carved a couple
I
pumpkins,
don't know.
but I'm like that is not easy.
People have talked about
so
having a guild,
really great job.
and then they haven't been around.
Love it.
So
And then our
I don't
one
know what
after
I'm gonna
that
do as far as
is
guilds or
Abaxia,
whatever
who
go.
made our crazy
Oh,
turtle.
that looks pretty good. It's a pretty good
just
attempt.
So good.
It's even
And
got
the
the
little
ocean in the
galaxy
background.
lights coming
Yeah, I
through.
like the little
they
ocean
got the
in
aquarium in
background.
the background. Oh, looks
The
good.
ocean in the background and the galaxy lights.
I mean, these
inside of
people
the
all have
turtle.
more
Mhm.
skill than I do. I mean, except for the one that won. I could have
It's
done that.
so cool. This is one of our mounts in game. If
I
you
mean, it's
saw
definitely
our
thinking outside the
aquatic
block,
mounts
the
video.
box.
If you haven't, go check out our 4K.
You know, making the day
aquatic
strider out of
mounts
pumpkins. I mean,
video.
that's definitely outside the box thinking. Can't
and
take
thank you,
anything away from
Abaxia.
that.
And our last one is going to Woodox. Wow.
Ooh.
This is another
That-
digital one, but whew, this
That
is our
looks
dragon
really
that we
good.
had in that little raid section that Steven had showed off.
Yeah, that's
Even got
really
the
good art.
environment. It looks really good.
Yeah, the lava effects are cool. Very nice. Well done.
The little glow, like you can see the reflection in the clouds
Mhm.
underneath. Very neat.
Yeah, that's.
So congratulations to you all.
Some, I mean,
I believe
people.
all the
Some
winners
people
have been
have
contacted.
amazing
Toast can tell me
talent.
if not. But all of you who are bonus Alpha 1 keys, you're going to be getting reached out to more now, because we wanted to leave it as a little surprise for honorable mentions. But we just had such a hard time picking our winners because you guys are so talented, and there were so many submissions. We're like, we can give away extra keys, right, Steven?
Yeah.
So beyond that, let's get into our Q&A segment if you guys are ready for it.
Yes.
No, that was
Q&A.
Always ready for
That was
QA.
a big high with all those pumpkins.
Got half an hour
I'm
QA
gonna
too, so that's
play
good.
our little video in the background while we do our Q&A, because I feel like that would be nice if you guys are cool with that. So our first question here is on citizenship, and this is from Lineker and Sunboy. They both had a similar question. Will citizens and or mayors know details such as a list of new citizens in a node, citizens that have left the node, and who participated in elections? Are you gonna go like mail them all election notices?
No, there will be, well, for election notices, yes, there are election
yeah?
notices that do get mailed to the account.
No, I meant like the mayor, like being like, "Hey, you didn't vote for me. I'm gonna go message you."
Oh, no, you won't be able
The
to
other
see
problem with that
votes,
is, are you going to be on the
who
same
voted for
server?
who. No. But you will see a list of active citizenships. So that'll be through the node town
Right.
board, essentially, that players can interact with. You can get a list of citizens there. You can even click on the citizen and get some information.
I've been reading
about
a lot
that
of
particular
stories. I won't get
citizen,
into it
such
right
as
now,
guild
but
affiliation, society that they may be
they've
a
shot
part of,
themselves in the foot
religion that they may follow,
big time with that.
whether or not they own a property what type of property they own within the
Crazy
node.
people lighting fires and ballot boxes and stuff.
And then the list of citizens themselves. Yes, you'll get that information.
And we'll probably notify people as people join the city. So, somebody signs up to be a citizen, there'll be a notification like, hey, welcome so-and-so to the node.
Right. And that'll probably be within that won't necessarily come across the screen per se, but in the chat box, you'll have a dedicated node chat section that is just for citizens of the node. And you'll get the notification likely within that chat box. So-and-so has joined the nation, so-and-so has joined the node.
People want to know if they can get vote by mail, voter by mail.
Well, there's a lot of potential fraud. No, I'm just
Yeah.
It's gonna be that kind of stream.
I know.
Steven.
This is
I knew
why
that
I
was
say
coming, so I
they're-
asked it, but I also just
Totally.
These
can't
guys
do
are
it.
more Trump
Too much
supporting than
trolls,
not.
Sorry, y'all.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have fun. Our next
no.
question here, unless you had something more to add to that.
Just to be clear, that was a joke. I
Yeah,
have
that was a
full,
joke.
Full confidence in our election system in the United States. So the question is, sorry, what was the question?
The citizen one.
Yeah.
If they'll have more information, like detailed lists on new citizens
Okay, yeah.
who've joined
Yeah,
the
yeah.
node, that kind of stuff, who have left the node, and
Yes.
who participated in elections.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and
All
I
right,
got
our next question here is from
my lollipop from the dentist.
Reasonable Mayhem about sieges. It
Teeth
says,
cleaning, I
will
got.
items offered in personal shops,
goodie
player
bag.
stalls, and auction houses, besides raw and processed goods, or will items such as gear and consumables be at risk from a node siege? So if you have a little personal shop or a player stall up or auction house items up, will those be at risk if a node is sieged?
Yeah, what happens to that
So
stuff?
the
Good
way
question.
that the way that the stall works differently from the player shop, right? And there's two ideas here. The stall is a rentable space that does not require the player to be present in order to have the items actively available for purchase by other players. They just rent the stall, and NPC there services the stall with what you've decided to link as either a service or an item to sell, and that exists for a period of time, and you pay for that period of time. Then you can leave and you can play. A player shop is where you have a certificate to essentially create a shop with your character, and a little billboard will pop up above you as you kind of sit down for that shop and kind of advertise a custom message that you want to use, that you want to say, and that has to sell things and or services that are on your person. So players can then come up to you and they can interact with you, and they can. So you're.
I like that idea.
You reside yourself to that shop. With regards to sieges, in the stall scenario, you can link the stall to your warehouse. So it doesn't just have to be in your inventory for the stall. The stall can actually be linked to items in your warehouse, and those items could include materials. Now, materials are at risk during a castle siege. During a
Node siege.
during a node siege. Thank you. So it is possible, I guess, in that sense, that you could lose a portion of those items. So you don't lose whole items in node sieges. All your warehouse contents aren't vulnerable for node sieges. However, materials are. And materials are either processed processed gatherables or raw gatherables, right? Those are the materials. And the same could be true and said for the player shops. If you get killed while being a shop, you would then have the normal death penalty, which could include a portion of your materials and or gatherables that are on your character.
Yeah, and we've answered the secondary part of that before in regards to materials and being lost.
And it's important to note, by the way, and this is, again, this will be tested, but in a node siege, when the declaration occurs, material goods within the warehouse of the node that has had a declaration made, those are restricted from movement. You can sell them to players through the stall, but you cannot incorporate the warehouse connection with materials into launching a caravan out of the node.
So here's your sticker you won. So I do have the sticker. It's actually a lot bigger than I thought. So SodaStream bottle, right? So it's pretty big sticker. So we're debating on going to Edmonton, but you guys have some serious lockdown stuff going on, so we're not too sure what it's going to be like to go to IKEA or to even go out for lunch. So we're just kind of waiting on that. Okay, so the only thing left on here that's AOC that you can win, show you guys the merch currently, is the mask. Just got to wear a mask. Yeah, I have an I am exempt button, so I'm fine. So the coffee mug's been given away. The sticker, he's already won. And then when we do the 24-hour live stream, I'm going to add these things back. And then I might see about maybe doing a mouse pad and doing up a mouse pad as well, since I think that'd be kind of cool. I mean, a mouse pad you can put up on a wall. So, otherwise, there's a $10 Amazon gift card is on here as well. Let's get ready to spin to win when the web page opens up here. There we go. And off we go, and around it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. And you won nothing. But that's okay. She had 60,000. You're only down to 50,000, so you're doing good. Poop. Yep. Poop. Oh, get rid of that. Get rid of that. But yeah, when we do the 24-hour live stream, there'll be more stuff on the wheel, and there'll be lots more ways of earning points, because obviously it's there'll be a lot of donation stuff going on with that. So for the Minecraft server, where you can either, if you're playing on the server, yeah, and we'll talk about that after this, because I have to edit all this crap out for the YouTube vid. I don't want to spend too much time doing that.
So it's essentially like all trade kind of, comes to a little bit of a halt there.
Yeah, we'll get to that after
this. There's a risk associated with it. So.
All right.
If you're in my Discord,
and then our next question is going to be in regards to secondary classes. And Felix wants to know, or it's with a PH, so I'm assuming it's Felix or Pelix.
Pilots.
Will switching my secondary class be subject to a cooldown period? Like, can they just swap around, or do they have kind of like a time frame that they can't do it in?
We've talked about a number of different ways of doing it. There probably will be a cooldown. There may be a quest associated with it, which would function as a cooldown. We may allow you to have multiple specs that you could swap between with the cooldown. So there's a couple different ways that we've talked about it. We haven't really settled yet. Once we start actually implementing these secondary classes, we'll be able to kind of get a better sense for how it feels. We want them to be flexible, but we don't want them to be so flexible that you can,
Well, there should be a cost
kind
for
of
sure.
change your character's character at a moment's notice. It probably, at the very least, would require going back to a node to swap it out.
Right.
But
I would say maybe like a
but,
dual
something we're
spec.
still playing
I think
with,
would be fair.
conceptually, and then once the rubber hits the road and we start testing it out, then we'll have some better answers for you at that point.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So follow up with us, and obviously as we announce more stuff with the archetypes, because we have some archetype articles coming out, we'll be progressively adding more to those as we get further along in our development process. But our next question here is actually more of a personal one for Steven, and this is from Effie, and they want to know, what race and class are you going to play and why? I already know the class. It's going to be some type of mage.
Unbelievable. You can't say that. You'll weight the population.
I know you too well.
No, yeah, I haven't chosen. Obviously, I imagine I'll have multiple characters. Obviously, that will be different classes and or races. I typically, in what I have played in MMOs, I've played some caster types usually, or a tank / healer. So really, I don't know. I'm across the board. I don't really have a particular favorite. I think originally I used to be a sorcerer or mage, and then I really liked getting into tanks and like being a healer as well. So I'm kind of everything. I like playing everything.
Because I don't want to just focus this on Steven. Jeff,
Yeah.
what is your go-to normally?
So I'm almost always a hybrid class is usually where I end up. I like being able to be that flex role. So I do, as much as I hate admitting it, I do end up being the kind of like bard style kind of class more often than not. And WoW, I played a druid for a long time. I'd be a moonkin. What else did I play? I often am bards when I play D&D.
What are you
not
guys
on
gonna
purpose,
play
just
as?
'cause
What are
that
your
just
thoughts?
ends up being the
He's
most fun.
he's
that
a
I have.
power gaming bard.
I am.
I feel like we actually, the three of us, make a great party because I normally always am a tank or healer. I like to make sure that, everyone stays alive, that we're pulling the right mobs, or, like those are, I have a bit of a control problem. I know. It's because
just like
I just don't want anyone to die. I don't want anything bad to happen. I feel like you can fill DPS, but when it comes to like tanking and healing, there's some level of skill there that, to me, if you don't have the right person in those jobs, everything can fall apart. Like if you have a bad tank, they're taking a ton of damage, they're pulling things improperly, you're not going to have a good time. If you have a bad healer, people are dying left and right. So I feel like, to me, those are two really, really strong classes that can turn the tide of a combat.
And just to be clear for the audience, so they're aware, not only is Jeff's last name Bard, but he went to Bard College and he plays a bard. So he's the trifecta of bards.
It's true.
He can also sing.
And he can sing. That's right. And perform. He can perform.
Yeah.
as well.
Be cubed.
We do have some plans for like
feel like I'm
live
a
events,
typecast.
and I had like a town crier idea that would be in the booth, and he was like, I want to do that. I was like, okay, Jeff, you're in. Just to tell you, a little sneak peek of some cool stuff that we have planned for on the marketing side. Our next question here is about guild progression from Kadak, and they want to know, well, if we ever get to do events again, want to know, will a guild be able to relocate / respec their skill points? Like if they reduce their members and want to specialize in a more passive skill / augment instead, can they do that?
So, guild skill point allocation, my initial position on that is it cannot be reallocated. However, that is subject to testing. The reason for that is
question.
there's
It's a good-
specific benefits that come along with your allocation choice, and it would be a little gamey if, in my opinion, you could adjust your skill allocation to meet the immediate need in the moment that's required. So to speak, like how you allocate skills can determine the size of your guild. And if you can fluctuate that to be, appropriate for specific circumstances, like a castle siege or a guild war, you can just kick out a bunch of members, reallocate skills, and become super like definitive force. I don't like that idea. So
Yeah, I don't like that either.
My initial design choice there is no.
So you
but
just
we're
have
going
to
to
be
test
really
obviously and
careful
see,
in
but
how
I
you
don't see that
build your guild.
changing really. Yeah.
So once
Gotta
you
put a lot of thought
spec
into it.
your guild, you won't be able to change it.
Correct.
Ooh.
Yes. Now you can create another guild, and that other guild can take a different direction if you want, and that would be, in my opinion, fair. But I do not believe that the guild, because of how guild skills and skill allocation affects the guild size, I don't think that those should be able to be reallocated.
And obviously, we're gonna, test things and things of that sort. So everything's subject to change as always. But we will be showing off some guild system stuff.
Yeah, I can
in
agree
the
with
future,
Steven
so
on
stay
that.
tuned for those things.
I see his
I know we
point.
have an article that's going to go over some of the guild abilities that are coming out as well. So, yay. The next thing we have is from Neurotoxin about hair, which we kind of showed off a little bit of hair before earlier on. How will hair and beards interact with equipment and attire in terms of hiding / remaining present while wearing headgear? Ooh, that's a good question, because sometimes like hair just disappears, or it like there's a lot of interpenetration of hair in places because of the weirdness of it.
Yeah,
It's
it
usually weighting
depends.
problems.
It depends. So I would imagine, and I have to chat a little bit more with the character team on this, but I believe that
Or if your character has really
helmets
long
will be
hair,
flagged as either removing
should
facial
it
hair
show
or not, depending on way that the
underneath
mesh itself
the
is
helmet?
constructed to either cover the face or not cover the face. But in almost all circumstances, the actual hair piece to the model we can't have that interpenetrating, through the helmet, so that will be masked by the helmet being equipped. Now, players can choose not to have the helmet shown and have their their hair present. But yeah, I would say in almost all circumstances, the hair itself with a helmet is likely not going to be present in that regard.
All right. And then our next question here is from Anduin, talking about dyes, and they want to know, will armor and cosmetic items have multiple slots for multiple dyes or just one? So for instance, like if there's an outline on the outfit, can I change just the outline color and then dye the insides parts like a different color? Or is it going to be like I add a dye and it dyes the whole entire thing?
primary, secondary.
So if you add a dye, it's going to dye the relevant components of the set. So for example, if you have a full set of armor on you and it's a one-piece cosmetic, and you apply a dye to it, there are going to be sections of the armor set that are flagged for accepting the dye color. So it's going to change the accents along the piece, perhaps more predominant single pieces or areas. But you will not be able to isolate, specifically, I just want this line to be that color and this line to be this color and create a rainbow set, so to speak. You're going to apply one dye to one piece. Now, you don't always have to have a single costume piece, right? You could have transmogs on individual items, and you could apply dyes to the different items.
Follow up
if
I'd
they're
have to
individual
this
pieces.
as well
So that's something you said.
is if I'm wearing a red
Okay,
piece of
cool.
gear
And then we have our
and I apply a blue dye, is my gear going to turn green or is my gear going to turn blue? So basically, does it completely override the color that the gear is, or is it in addition to? So do I have to know my colors, right? Like my color matching. Now, obviously, if it works that way, it's going to restrict you from what colors you can have. So I imagine it's probably not going to work. Where your stuff is red, you add blue, it turns green. I have a feeling it's probably going to be if you add blue, it just turns blue. Which I'm okay with that. That for me would make far more sense. There was a game, I can't remember what it was, where you were color adding, right? So if you were red, you added blue, it turned green, and you're like, oh, I didn't want it to be like that. Oh, Minecraft. That's the way it was originally. with changing the colors of your weapons and stuff like that in the infuser for Lycanites.
Our next question, which is about hitboxes from Mazriel and Nappy, or Mazriel. Let me know how I'm saying it. Hitboxes, which is, will hitboxes be standardized for all races regardless of their size, or will it change? And I think we have discussed this a little bit. I don't know if we've like put a standpoint on like what our final decisions are. And obviously, I know you guys are going to be testing things throughout. But what is your current stance on that?
So that's something we're going to be testing. Obviously, there's a variance between the hitbox of a dwarf and an orc, and that's an extreme variance there. As we kind of approach it, we have some ideas on how to accommodate different sizes of hitboxes, not just from a stat perspective, but also from essentially a distance and projectile size as they approach a target per se. Now, we don't have separate types of hitbox categories. For example, there's no head hitbox in the MMORPG like there was in APOC. So from a critical standpoint, you're not going to see a greater risk of critting for a larger hitbox. But the opportunity to hit a target, that's, I don't know, Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that we have to be careful with, and we are aware of sort of the swampiness that can end up if you don't do this right, especially when we're trying to kind of lean more into the action side of things. We don't want Vec to be the number one choice because they're the hardest to hit, right? But we also need to account for things like, when you collide with stuff and where it makes sense to be able to, where you can access in the world, right? Can Vec get into places with a smaller hitboxes that all other creatures can't? We probably don't want that. So more than likely we'll have some sort of unified-ish hitbox, but again, it's going to kind of, we'll probably have a unified hitbox with some exceptions or some special.
I think he's isn't it Dunir?
Sort of collision rules based on them, as opposed to kind of just making it smaller for one and not the other.
So they would be the small,
but yeah, there's a lot of work that
small
still needs to be done
hitboxes.
there, and to kind of figure out how we're going to address it, sort of from a technological standpoint.
I mean, from a dwarven standpoint, what the dwarf lacks in height, it makes up in beard size. So you can just have a very massive beard hitbox for the dwarf.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And then it's comparable a little bit to the orc.
Dwarves be thick.
I'm just kidding.
But the poor Vec don't have any.
That's true. It is unfortunate.
All right. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight into it. I know we have talked about that subject in the past a little bit, but maybe not as
it's a thing that we're aware of, and we've talked a lot about it in the office, and there's problems with every implementation of it, right? And so the goal is to try to find the least worst implementation of it, and then make sure that it's both fair and makes sense from a world's perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Our next question is from Nick Trina. We have one more after this. And Nick Trina's question is regarding the Underrealm. Will the Underrealm be contiguous or consistent?
Contiguous.
Contiguous, there we go. Or consistent of pocketed areas. Ooh.
Both. So the continuity of the Underrealm area is going to be based off location. So you're going to have pockets that are far more contiguous across certain regions than other areas. And generally, the Underrealm and its location throughout the world is going to be focused around natural geographic choke points, essentially, that exist on the above ground locations. So these kind of provide alternate methods of routing for caravan movement, for player movement, for raid movement, whatever, that people can take advantage of. Is it contiguous across the entire subterranean area that exists within Vera? No. There's going to be similar to above ground. There's going to be areas that are obstructed by either large chasms or whatever, similar to above ground, how there are mountain ranges or water or whatever. So there's areas there that are that are going to be confined to specific locales.
Yeah, and it's something we've talked about too, and I don't know, we haven't talked about it in a little while, but we've also talked about nodes and node states affecting sort of what openings are open and what
Mhm.
things are closed. So
Mhm.
not all entrances to the Underrealm will be open at the same time. So
Mhm.
that configuration can shift, and different routes will open up and be more advantageous than other routes. Things along
So
those
it'd be
lines.
based on node
So we want to
development.
kind of keep that part dynamic as well.
Yeah.
But there's some challenges there too. So we'll see where we go with that.
Mhm.
Awesome. And our final question here is from Cymex, who wants to know about combat pets. If I'm a more DPS-oriented character, can my combat pet support me with more tank-oriented or heal-oriented abilities, or does it always match my primary focus?
So combat pets are categorized by class as well and adhere to a simple trinity structure also. So as players kind of determine what combat pet they want to aim for, and I'm assuming you're talking about the universal combat pets and not summoner based summons essentially, right? So you can choose to have a more tank related pet that has tank oriented skills. Or you can choose to have a more DPS related combat pet or a support type combat pet. And those
You
will
ran
also
through the fire
exist.
and didn't burn.
They'll have different categories of rarity as well. Some that are more, hard to achieve, but have better capabilities and skills. Oh,
Sorry,
I lost. Oh,
My
there you
cat was freaking out. All right.
go. Is that a
cool.
cat or is it Professor McGonagall?
It's my combat pet.
Okay, very cool.
Speaking of pets.
Yeah, it does DPS and
Cool.
rending.
So before we go into all
Cats
of our
are
final
very good
stuff
at
and
the
wrap
bleed
up the
effect.
stream, Stephen had a little surprise for me. So sorry that this asset is not the perfect,
Pretty.
pretty
pretty.
asset. So bear with me on that front. I'm gonna put you down for a moment. What is this? What are all these games, Stephen?
All right, so I just wanted to, before we kind of wrap up here today,
Ooh,
once
Dune.
again talk about the Extra Life that's going to be
I wanna get
coming
the
up
Dune
on
game.
on
I'll have to see if I can
Saturday,
get that on
November 7th.
Amazon.
So that's a week
didn't-
from tomorrow.
Didn't realize there's a board game.
A good friend of mine, Cliff Robbins, he owns the Game Empire stores in Southern California, one of which here is in San Diego. He's also a consultant for a future board game that we have planned with Ashes of Creation. And he is going to be donating to the charity event 12 games that you can see here that people will have an opportunity to win
Jesus.
on the stream.
It's not cheap.
So what we're going to do is kind of every 2-hour period, we're going to take a look at who
I
the
think
top,
it's 4 hours.
or is it every 4
yeah,
hours?
it's during those milestone breaks.
Oh,
I think it
well, okay.
equates to
maybe
4.
maybe we can make it every 2. I don't know.
I had it every 4, so I had 2. You win. 2 people would win during each of the
Okay,
breaks.
that's fine.
And then
Yeah,
the
yeah, we
final
can
one
do
would be
that.
3, I think, or something
Sure.
like that.
Yeah.
Or 4.
So we'll do the top 2 donators every 4 hours. We'll get one of these
They're added to my wish
games, and
list
it'll be
on,
first come, first serve. You can choose
Amazon.
one of these games in addition to the alpha key. And is there other stuff that comes with that as well?
Yes, you had. We're calling it like I think it's like the Intrepid Extra Life 2 or Extra Life 2020 bundle. It will also come with the vintage lanyard, the vintage hat, and vintage mouse pad.
Yeah, so those will get shipped off to you guys, and this is through these particular board games are by donation from Cliff at Game Empire.
Cliff
you
was
guys
a
are
lot
in
of
San
fun
Diego
last year.
Area. It's
It's
a great
great
game
place.
store. You can
It was
run
a
by there,
shame
lot
when
of
Cliff
fun.
had to go
You'll end
home.
up buying everything.
He was a
Yeah,
riot
but just
on the
to,
live
just to
stream.
give you guys more incentives to show up, and you guys don't have to donate if you want to come. Just be a part of the fun and hang out with us. We're going to be streaming for 24 straight hours. It's going to be crazy, but we've done it the last 3 years, and it's been a lot of fun to hang out with the community. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just put that up on the screen again. That is November 7th at 6 a.m. PST, because we're going to be in PST now. And Sunday, November 8th at 6 a.m. PST is when we'll be wrapping things up. Again, we are.
And I'll be starting my stream about
supporting
half an
Rainy
hour
Children's
before theirs.
Hospital. It goes a long way.
About
We actually are in contact with them, and so we might be trying to do some
Gonna
other
be a
stuff for them as well.
long
So stay
day.
tuned for that.
A lot of energy
Um,
drinks.
You can watch it all on twitch.tv/Ashes of Creation. If you're watching us live right now, definitely give us a follow so you don't miss out on that. And then, of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, come on over to the Twitch channel. It's fun, hanging out and chatting with us live. We do look at the chat while we're playing. It's good times. And then, of course, you can go ahead and donate. We made a little bit.ly link as well, which is AOC Extra Life 2020. And that you do have to follow the capitalizations up there. It's, the first words are always capitalized. So that is where you can find all the details. We also have it up on our website. If you go to ashesofcreation.com/news, all of the details are there and ready for you to check out. Beyond that, we do have a new dev discussion coming up, so please partake in those.
Make sure you check it out.
They help us a ton. I know Jeff gets all of those reports, and his team kind of goes over it and works in any changes that they need to do. We do have our monthly cosmetic swap over, so if you're interested in checking out the new set, I did give some teasers to those of you who are hanging out.
Wonder
in our
if Steven
Discord,
will keep
so
the
there are some benefits
mustache.
for hanging out with us. But our next set will be
The
swapping over
shaving the
November
beard.
7th,
Mustaches
2020
are different.
at 11 a.m. PDT Pacific. I might have the date wrong.
Just
on that.
imagine if I shaved and I kept my mustache.
I think
I mean, that's all
November
mustache
4th.
right
I
there.
think I actually do have the time wrong. Sorry about that. It's November 4th. It is the Wednesday. Beyond that, we have the extra live stuff that we just talked about. I just want to say, over the years, this is our 4th year doing it. We've raised over $56,000, and it has been amazing. And you guys always
And
blow
that
it out
is-
of the water.
Yeah, that is entirely our amazing community. You guys are responsible, and I did have a chat with the director of their philanthropic stuff at Rady's, and they're going to record a little message for our community because in Extra Life, you kind of choose a hospital that you're the 100% of your donation goes to that hospital, and Intrepid Studios and our amazing community over the past 3 years has risen now to be, the top Extra Life participant for Rady's. And, they do great work there. And we just wanted to make sure that you guys have an understanding of really where your support goes to be a friend of someone at Rady's and what it means to them. So expect to see that on game day come November 7th.
Get ready for your field
You're changing
trains.
lives.
I know you guys are absolutely changing lives. And I've always been a long time believer that there's room for compassion and for these types of endeavors to exist in all of our lives as we kind of move through this existence, whatever your metaphysical answers are for why we're here. It's one thing to be said that compassion and empathy go a very long way in other people's lives. And it's really, really warming to see the involvement of the Ashes of Creation community. We're talking about how great our community
I
is
think she
early
must
on
have
in the
painted
stream,
herself all
but
green.
really an indicator of
her
you
chair's not
guys
green,
and
it's white.
the shared values we
So-
have, I think, really gets demonstrated
good.
in these types of events like the
Extra
Life
extra
event that's coming
commitment
up.
to
So
Margaret.
we appreciate you guys.
I would have
tuning
been
into it. We
lazy. I
appreciate you
would
guys
have
coming and
just
participating in it. It
greened
speaks so
my,
highly of
color
of,
shaded.
who we are as a community, and means a lot to us and the people there.
We can't thank you enough, and hopefully you enjoy the fun events and shenanigans that we'll be up to throughout the 24 hours. We have a lot of stuff planned, and Steven's got an epic campaign. You'll get some sneak peeks at some lore. We have a whole bunch of other things that we'll unlock along the way. Some fun challenges that you guys can make fun of us with. We'll definitely we're bringing back the dinosaur lightsaber battle that Steven is the, what do you call it when you're
What?
judging the battle?
Oh,
The referee. There we go.
referee.
Yeah,
There you
there we go. We should get you a referee shirt.
go.
But again, thank you, Stephen, for your time. Thank you, Jeff, for your time. I know that this is your time is very valuable. We appreciate it. Now get back to work. No, just kidding. Just kidding. If you are just tuning in and you want to check this out, or if you want to relive any of the action, we'll have it up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ashes of Creation. We try to get that up as quickly as we can. I usually timestamp everything, so I got you, fam. Beyond that, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and we keep you up to date on all of the goodies that we have going out and some fun interaction. You get some sneak peeks at some other assets and things like that we share out throughout the month. If you want a little teaser, and we have a lot of fun. So, sometimes we put out Kim Kardashian memes. It's great. It's good times. We'll see
They show
you
pictures of
next
their
month
butts.
for more wonderful development updates and maybe some sneak peeks at some other things as we move forward. So, toodaloos, everybody.
So there you have it. There's the full deal. So, I guess my wrap up comments on this, obviously the armor, it's nitpicky. I'll admit that. I would just like to see a little more realism, a little more authenticity in that regard. They're spending so much time creating the game in a photorealistic or realistic manner, high fantasy. You would kind of think that would be one of those things, but I understand there's a sex appeal and you're marketing to men and young boys, so boobies. I get it. Though, and again, I said this early on in the video, I just have just in the back of my head, there's just a little nagging that's telling me that they are nowhere. I don't think they're anywhere as close as they wanted to be for Alpha 1. They've given themselves some breathing room with their current roadmap, but again, don't be surprised if it gets delayed further. Don't get mad at them because game development is one of those things. They're still hiring people. They've done massive hiring here recently. And that's one of those other things as well that kind of tells me they may not quite be there yet, because why else would you still need to hire so many people if you're so close to an alpha/beta, right? So just taking all the little bits of information, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have some additional extended delays. So I'm starting to move towards a late 2022 release for this game. But I mean, that's the nature of development, man. It's not perfect, and one of the reasons why I also mentioned that is we got a lot more Denier stuff. Fantastic. We've seen like nothing of the orcs, right? Nothing. We've seen nothing of the Tolnar. There are a lot of elements that they've talked about that we haven't seen yet. They seem to show us the same stuff all the time or similar stuff. Reusing assets and stuff like that. I don't want to accuse them of misleading anything, but there is some intentional omission going on. That's just my feeling. And again, that's not necessarily bad. I mean, that's just the way development goes, is you do it in blocks, right? So they have their blocks. So overall, I thought it was a really good update. It went nice and long, an hour and a half. So I thought that was really good. They're definitely putting good time and stuff. Now, a chunk of that was the pumpkin contest. So you take that pumpkin contest element out of this, and it would be more or less a regular length video. But they kind of compensated for that by giving us, that hour and a half, which I thought was really good, really fair. I do have a whole video that kind of talks about my thoughts on the Alpha 1, what that does for the hype and stuff like that. I'm still editing that because there's bits I go off on tangents, and I'm trying to cut those tangents out. So it'll probably come out after this video, most likely, because I have less to cut from this video. But if you do enjoy the videos, let me know. I do want to do more Ashes content. It's just there's not a whole lot of it recently, and I don't want to spend a ton of time rehashing stuff. Now, one of the questions was about their 24-hour live stream. Yes, I will be co-streaming their live stream, so I'll have their live stream in the window, and then I will play other games with whoever's in the channel, and probably do some Among Us. Definitely going to do some RL Craft on the team server, and maybe some other games. We'll have some other conversations. We'll try and participate in their stream. What I'll also be doing is accepting donations during that time to me. So any money that gets donated to me, I will be forwarding on to them. So that I can hopefully get into the running for like an Alpha 1 key or something like that with your guys' help and assistance. And by doing that, I'm going to have, for the RL Craft side of things, I'm going to come up with like a little donation sheet where if you're playing on the server, you can either donate to gift advantages to people on the server. For example, like $5 will get somebody a full iron set of gear. $20 will get somebody a full diamond set of gear. So that includes the sword, helmet, chest, legs, feet, and yeah, because you have a Paxel, so you don't need diamonds for anything else. But the sword comes in very, very handy. So all masterful level. So I will obviously God mode and then create these items for people. I probably will pre-create. I think what I'll probably do is create the world, get in there, and then just hide some chests way up in the sky, and then I can just go and loot those chests, and then I'm not taking that much time away from the game. You'll also be able to people can also get experience globes. And I'm going to also allow you guys to trigger. I think I can trigger blood moons, and I think I can trigger events. So you guys will be able to donate for those things, or just donate to donate, and people can just appreciate that, and that again will get donated to them, so that again I can hopefully get into the draw pools for Alpha 1 keys or anything else like that. So with that, I think we're going to wrap this video up. I have a photo shoot tomorrow that I got to do, so I got to be up early for that, and then hand out some candy. I'll try to stream maybe in between the two if I can, and I'll probably stream a little bit after, before I hit the shower and wash off all of the stuff. So it may be Halloween, but jolly old Saint Nick might stop by and say hi. So look for that tomorrow. Otherwise, if we don't see you tomorrow, have yourselves a happy and safe Halloween. Don't eat too much candy. And yeah, have yourselves a good night. And again, I'm going to wrap things up here. So again, thank you guys so very much for being a part of the stream. I am Bakeltar. And wherever you are out there in the world, have yourselves a fantastic day. Big thank you to my subscribers and supporters: Core Code, Gramp Games, Yodamu, Upfront Poop Dog, Random Runes, Magnet, Fenrir, Danny Montany, Pug Planet, Kelveski, Tavernside Gaming. Once again, have yourselves a good day, a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and most of all, have yourself a fantastic good night.